Welcome into another edition of Sports Junkies. Time to do a little pack of talk with Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. I'm Steve Sparky Fifer from AM 1250 and 105.7 FM, The Fan in Milwaukee, co-host of the Wendy's Big Show weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 in the afternoon. Also host of our post-game shows after Brewers and Bucks games as well.
I'm curious to see where you're going to go with this day, because we haven't talked about this show beforehand.
No.
And you kind of like guide us along.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious, because there's a lot of good topics regarding the Packers.
There is a lot of good stuff going on. Let me start with the topic that we did on the Wendy's Big Show yesterday. Was Brett Favre ever this good as Aaron Rodgers is playing currently?
No, never. Absolutely not. He's never had that consistency. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, to me, is the closest thing I've seen to Joe Montana. You know, like every Sunday, you know what you're going to get from him, you know?
How much of a difference do you think there is in completion percentage in a career between Favre and Rodgers?
Huge.
4%.
Okay.
66% to 62%. It's 4 percentage points. Everybody thinks it's way worse. Interceptions, horrific. I mean, it's not even close. That's Rodgers versus Favre. Interceptions, you're absolutely right.
And you know where the biggest difference is? It's in passer rating.
Sure.
I mean, Aaron Rodgers is off the chart.
But as I've said before, the defensive rules have eased up on quarterbacks and on wide receivers over the number of years since Brett Favre has left.
That is true.
And that makes it easier for the offenses to attack.
I mean, Favre was called the gunslinger for a reason.
But Gery, just think about it this way.
He was reckless.
Okay, fine, I agree with you. But think about it this way. Clinton Dix, the penalty he gets, it was a clean hit.
Absolutely.
And they say, well, he was defenseless, flag, and he gets flagged. In Favre's era, that's just a clean hit and we move on.
Well,
so now the receiver doesn't have to worry about the big hit over the middle anymore.
Absolutely.
Because the refs are protecting him. Now you don't worry about alligator arms and pulling back and having an incompletion.
Chuck Cecil would have never played a full season.
No, would have been done.
I mean,
Carnell Lake's another one.
I'll give you a classic example. The hardest hitting safety I've ever seen, and this is before your time, but you might have heard him, Jack Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
Who played for the Oakland Raiders.
Yes.
I mean, you came across the middle, he inflicted the fear of God in you.
Right.
And
you were looking to see where he was.
The hit that Clinton Dix put on the other day would pale in comparison to the hits that Jack Tatum put on.
Yes.
I mean, the game has become so soft, it's unbelievable.
Right, and so that's why I say when you start comparing these two quarterbacks, that has to be in the back of everybody's mind when you start comparing numbers, as we go along here. Now, it's a lot closer to compare Rodgers to Favre than it is Rodgers to Starr. You can't even make that comparison. But those two are going to be compared forever. And in my opinion, Rodgers, if he gets another Super Bowl, then his case closed. It's over. He wins another ring, it's over.
I totally agree. Although I still think Bart Starr, if I was going to take a quarterback in an important game, hands down, I would take Bart Starr over Brett Favre or Aaron in a big game. If you go back and look at Starr's resume for big games, Super Bowl I, MVP.
Yep.
Super Bowl II, MVP. You know, the guy consistently played at a very high level in big games. You can't say that about Brett Favre. You can't say that about Aaron Rodgers.
No, I agree with you on that. No question about it. Let's talk about a couple of the other things that come out of this game. I think this Packers defense in that game against the Chiefs played as good as I've seen them play since the second half of their Super Bowl run when they went on to beat the Steelers. That defense was as aggressive and as relentless as I've seen it in years.
It was outstanding. I mean, and we haven't said that about a Packer defense in many, many years. I mean,
they were using a bunch of guys you never even heard of. Joe Thomas was on the practice squad in Dallas after the Packers cut him in training camp.
If they get that kind of pass pressure like they did, they're going to win the Super Bowl. I don't even think it's going to be close.
Right.
But unfortunately, we know that's not going to happen.
Well, the Chiefs' offensive line isn't that good.
No, it's not. And let's face it, Alex Smith is still a run-of-the-mill quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
Game manager.
But, I mean, he's not a guy that's you're really fearful of. You know what I mean?
I agree with you on that.
So, I mean, in Kansas City was just bitterly disappointing just to watch. I thought they would be much better at this point.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100% on that. The other thing to talk about coming away from this Packers game right now is they lose another player. This time it's Andrew Corliss. He gets put on the IR. Mm-hmm. He can return, designated for return, so he's out 8 weeks.
So you know what that means?
Bachman gets moved up to second tight end, the kid from UAB who they drafted.
And this is just my personal observation. Rodgers is a better tight end because he's played one full season, okay? I think he's better than Rodgers. He just doesn't have the experience.
He's in his first year, right?
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
And, after the Packers draft, I wrote a column for the first time ever saying how I love the Packer draft. I mean, there are always guys I always thought were suspect picks every year. That draft from top to bottom is incredible. I mean, last Sunday, I think they had 4 guys that played. Even Ryan was playing last Sunday.
And then got hurt, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the 2 DBs that played well, and we talked about Montgomery when they drafted him. They actually got a return guy now. I mean, he is really good. So, in my mind, Thompson's best draft outside of picking Aaron Rodgers.
When we talk about Aaron Rodgers versus Brett Favre, and we talk about, Brett Favre had these receivers that were Pro Bowlers. Javon Walker, Sterling Sharp, Antonio Freeman, right? And Rodgers has had his too, right? He's had Jordy Nelson, Randall Cobb.
Sure.
Can you explain to me James Jones?
Explain.
Can hang on the Oakland Raiders roster, gets cut by the Giants, comes back to Green Bay, looks like a Pro Bowler.
Absolutely a mystery to me. I mean, the guy caught how many passes in Oakland last year? Like 78 or something?
You know, right here.
Yeah.
Like 3 touchdowns.
I mean, you don't give up on the guys like that unless it's a financial thing. Or he's got an
They got better players, though.
I mean,
they got drafted Amari Cooper. They brought back Crabtree. They just thought they had better players on the roster. That's all it was. But again, James Jones, he becomes a free agent at the end of this year. Who says, I want him? I'm guessing nobody. And they're just going to say, it's a system in Green Bay and a great quarterback. At which point that's going to go, good. Better minimum it looks like again, James.
I know it's early, but that guy could be going to the Pro Bowl.
Yes, agreed.
And, I mean, that would make Ted Thompson look like an absolute genius, I mean, if that transpired.
I just think it's Rodgers.
You know what I do?
I just think it's Aaron Rodgers.
And again, I like the Packers' receiving core, but I'll tell you what, I'd still go out and get another wide receiver.
Now, to that point, real quickly here, before we wrap it up. Would you go and trade a pick for Martellus Bennett from the Bears? Because they're having the fire sale. The linebacker Bostic is gone. Allen is gone. Jerry Allen gets traded to the Panthers. Would you get involved and get on that fire sale?
In a heartbeat.
Because he is not exactly the most normal personality in the whole wide world.
No.
So you're going to take him and throw him into a very calm, quiet Packers locker room and go, here's Martellus Bennett, boop, and see what happens.
Can you imagine how, I mean, not that Rodgers isn't great. We all know he is great. But can you imagine if he had a tight end that could actually go down the middle and open up that secondary more?
Yeah.
It would be unbelievable.
Just a matter of...
And that's why I thought a couple of years ago they had a chance to get Tony Gonzalez.
Yep.
This is one of my pet peeves. And Atlanta, I think, gave up a 2nd or 3rd round pick for him. If the Packers would have got Tony Gonzalez, who went on to have like 3 or 4 really good years in Atlanta. Can you imagine what the Packers would have done?
No question.
They could have stole maybe another Super Bowl or 2.
Yeah, you're right. He is Gery Woelfel of the Racine Journal-Times. Steve Sparky Fifer. Prediction, Packers-Niners. I say Packers by 21.
31.
We'll talk to you next time.
They're rolling.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next time here at RacineSportsZone.com.